people are not trying to hurt you, they're trying to protect them. The pervasive nature of shitty relationships and the garbage inventory that exists these days really kind of just boils down to one main common denominator. And all of the behavior or the events that are on the surface level of our shitty relationships, they're all essentially symptoms of the same thing, whether someone is cheating, has addictions, spending money without permission, not communicating. Like, everything points to one thing. And that is that people are terrible. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but we suck at intimacy. And I don't mean physical intimacy. I mean people struggle with the ability to confront the parts of themselves that they have deemed unworthy. And so when we're triggered or pain comes up or we feel vulnerable or exposed, this is when these poor habits, show up. And we know that the avoidant by nature is going to pull away and recluse and not want to get closer, and avoidants tend to get a lot of bad PR, kind of like introverts. Although, I'm sorry, but the anxious type is no better, and they're equally as offensive when they are triggered. The anxious person just handles it differently. And everything runs on a spectrum, so you can be mildly avoidant or anxious or severely avoidant and anxious. And if we go all the way to the far end of the anxious personality type, the anxious attachment type, I should say, they're possessive, they're jealous, they are controlling, because they've decided that you are the object of their safety. And so if you're off, well, then they can't function properly. They can't regulate their own nervous system. The avoidant, again, as we know, they just bail, they ghost, they run away. Like, that's what the avoidant does. Because that's how they regulate. They just go away from the thing that is bringing up the stuff in them. But both are essentially different sides of the same coin, equally as offensive. So cheating, for example, is not even a symptom of that partner not being good enough. It has nothing to do with that. Cheating is essentially a way to distract and derail from the intimacy. Right? People who can't confront themselves and can't confront that mirror that the partner puts up, for better or for worse, that's what cheating is. Cheating is just a symptom of the inability to be intimate. So, of course, habits like drinking and drugs and gambling and sex and these are all just distractive behaviors, right? But it basically, again, all just boils down to the fact that people don't know how to confront themselves. And if you can't confront yourself, you're never going to be able to confront other people in that same space or be confronted, because it's the exposure that people are running from. So when people act out, it's not that they're trying to hurt you, it's that they're trying to protect themselves. And of course, none of these patterns that people give, their power to are effective. They just exasperate the issue. None of them actually protect the pain, because you really can't protect yourself from pain. If you are searching for a way to protect yourself, you've already lost the battle, basically. And I've said this 100 million times, and people really hate it. Connection is on the other side of confrontation. Men need to feel seen and heard. Women need to feel seen and heard. And we express this and we need this somewhat differently, but it's the same basic need. And we can't connect if we can't confront the things that are in our space in between us, right? And so again, when people get triggered, they feel powerless. And basically what's happening in real time is that the adult who was fine 5 minutes ago leaves the room, mentally has checked out, and the child takes over and is like, oh my God, and freaks out and then starts to engage in the poor behaviors, whether it's defensiveness, projecting, deflecting, avoiding, blaming, you name it. All of these behaviors, these are actually the child acting out, because that's what your survival techniques were that you took on as a child to deal with the environment that you grew up in. And now we're all just running around as little kids, doing this shit to each other. But it's through being present and staying in the moment and not abandoning the child and allowing the adult in you to come forward and deal with things in real time. That's how you confront something, and then you lean into that space, and you have to be willing to cater to that inner child a little bit in order to really heal that relationship. Because what happens when we're kids is that we aren't heard, we aren't seen, we get abandoned, we get rejected, and then as a coping mechanism to survive, we take on that same behavior. So we're like, well, I guess if mom abandoned me, then in order for me to survive, I must abandon me too. Subsequently, we attract situations that then mirror that, and then we're like, why the fuck does this keep happening? It's because you keep abandoning yourself. So by rewiring that, or to rewire that, you actually have to move into that vulnerable space, confront it for what it is, undo the lie you told yourself, rewire it so that you can actually like stay present and see things for what they are. But relationships, it's not that, I mean, it's not that like things were great historically and now they're bad. Historically, we just took on roles for what they were and didn't question them. We don't live in a state now where like I'm dependent on a man to take care of me, so I don't have to take on a certain role in order to survive. I can just take care of myself. But while economically things are more feasible, and politically things are more feasible, and logistically things are more feasible, emotionally and psychologically we have abandoned the work. We haven't upgraded and actually integrated that part, so that even friendships, right? Family relationships. I'm not just speaking in the context of romance here. Like any relationship you're having that is failing, it's because of your inability to stay present, to show up as the adult, and to do the confrontational work, because that's what's required in order to have that connection on the other side. And you don't have to rely exclusively on the other person to be present in order for the work to be done. And that's the beauty of it. Like a lot of people think that they can't heal unless they're in a partnership that is also as growth oriented or work oriented, like to that, committed place. No, you just have to show up for yourself. As long as you show up for yourself, you rewire that relationship to that child, and then you become a healthier individual to deal with, period. It doesn't have to happen in the context of a marriage or, a romantic relationship or a business partnership. Like you just need to maintain that consistency within yourself and to confront the parts of yourself that you have decided are unworthy in order for the work to be done. Because remember, that relationship that is impaired is internal. The people on the outside are just showing it to you. But the core of the problem starts within you. So again, historically, it wasn't that things were so great. I mean, God, if you really talk to our grandparents, like they were alcoholics. The women were on like lithium and all kinds of different like mood stabilizers. They were just numbing out to get through it too. They didn't have amazing resources or tools that somehow we've abandoned. No, actually, as things have caught up economically, it's just revealed more and more of what they didn't have. And so if you want to have healthy relationships, that starts with you, the relationship to yourself, your capacity to stay present and confront the parts of yourself that you have decided are ugly and unworthy. And all of the other subsequent behavior is just a symptom. It is just a fucking symptom. Everything else is absolutely a symptom of your inability to confront the discomfort within you. This is what I do. This is my wheelhouse. For more like this, please like, share, follow.